And so what are you going to take from your profit and put back in the business and reinvest it in your business to grow the business? The smartest investment you can ever make is into your... Most business owners are broke, not because they don't work hard enough, but because they live with a poverty mindset. Maybe it is they charge too little. Maybe it is that they believe that being competitive has some form of useful advantage. Maybe they live beyond their means, or maybe they just don't steward their money well enough. Well, today I want to help you break that cycle. That cycle of poverty, that cycle of being stuck, that cycle of worrying that there's more month than there is money. That cycle where you think that an Excel spreadsheet is your key to going and solving your financial problems for yourself, without realizing that Jesus didn't do any of those things and yet still funded the growth of a movement. You know, in coaching sessions the entire time, I say to people, so what's your profit margin? And people give me all sorts of numbers. I say, that's wonderful. And then I ask them for other questions. So what's your gross profit and what's your net profit margin? And they give me all sorts of numbers. And the reality is that less than 1 in 500 business owners know their numbers. And often it's not their fault. You see, the reality is business owners usually live through their business to a degree or another. They have something at home paid for by the business. They have something for their medical or their car or their house or their vacations paid for by the business, all to be as tax efficient as possible. When they look at their year-end tax return, it's a series of numbers that shows to the tax authority, wherever you are in the world, just how little profit you've really made and just how little tax you have to pay on that profit as possible. It's a game of cat and mouse between the business owners, the accountants, and the tax authorities. But what this really does is it places you, the business owner, in a place where you don't know your numbers, where you don't really know what's going on in your business because of it. Why often you feel broke most of the time. And broke is simply a mindset. It causes you to make decisions that you really shouldn't make. And when you speak to an accountant, they don't really give you the answers that you actually need to grow your business. They give you the ones that work with tax. And so by the end of this video, I want to help you break free from part or all of your poverty trap. I want you to fund your life the right way. I want you to build a business that can carry you forwards into the future. So what is the poverty mindset? Well, the poverty mindset could well be living today because tomorrow is uncertain. A poverty mindset could be one of there's not enough. A poverty mindset could be one of, well, I don't know, but what it really means is that we're not stewarding our resources for the future, usually because we're not making enough money, we're not budgeting what we make well enough, and then we're not dealing with it sufficiently afterwards to weather the storms that will come. If you've been in business for any length of time, you know that there is good seasons in business and in bad seasons in business. Often we'll say this is down to politics or the economy, but in reality, I've had booming times in my business in the middle of COVID and when the economy was horrible, and I've had terrible times in a business when the economy has been great. What we do know for certain is that there is a series of times where we are up and when we are down. And the Matthew principle shows us that the rich don't spend when the economy or when the business is up. The rich save and steward when the economy or the business is up, and then they spend when it's down, usually to buy the things that everybody else is selling. In Proverbs 21:20, it says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." You know, we often as entrepreneurs live as though this bubble that we're in right now is guaranteed, not given from him. We often live to fund the lifestyle that we like to have without having done the work to really fund the lifestyle. Money is oxygen for growth in your business. But if you spend it like it's water, suddenly you're drowning and short of oxygen. If we spend too fast, the business suffocates. And now I know how business owners work. And I said this to start with. We buy our cars through the business. We buy our properties through the business, our clothes through the business. I've even met business owners that pay their medical insurance, their kids' school fees, their food, their flights, their travel, their vacations, everything through the business. And when you get to the end of the year and you see your numbers, you really don't understand them because you don't really understand what the business has done. The problem is that we're busy trying to reverse engineer or scramble to keep up with the finances of our business, and we don't have the truth that will set us free financially. And so some figures that you should really look to figure out in your business is, what's the cost of acquisition of a client? What do I mean by that? I mean all of the things that involve marketing, man hours, energy, social media, website, graphic design, hosting events, giveaway, freebies, caps that you give to people, whatever it may well be, the commission that you pay your sales guy or sales girl, the phones they use, emails they send, everything. What's the cost to acquire your customer? And then what's the cost to you of the thing that it is that they buy from you? Could be a service or could be a product of some sort. When you can work those two things out, and you really should do, that will give you your gross profit margin of your business. It's not the whole profit, but you know, if I sell 15 widgets, I'm going to make 15 lumps of an equal size amount of profit at an equal size amount of cost. The next thing that you need to go work out is, what's the actual running cost of the business, the day-to-day? You know, the repayment on the loan for the building that you've bought, or the rent for the office space, the Wi-Fi, the tech, the administrators, the accountant, the lawyer, the salaries that need to get paid to run the business that aren't for the people who don't do the sales work. What does that look like? And what's your salary within that? Now, within that cannot go anything that you would be tempted to claim as an expense, but really is for your at-home living. That cannot go in there. So when you get to that, you're now going to have the cost of the sale, the cost of operating and running the business, paying all those day-to-day, month-to-month bills, without your life expense going in there, and that's going to give you your net profit margin. Now, at this point in time, when most people do this exercise, the first thing they do is go woohoo and start spending. Or they go, oh my gosh, there's not enough. Now, if there's not enough, what it really means is you need to go and make more sales. Offer more value, do more sales to more people more often. You need to go and make more sales. Simple, easy. You need to become an expert at it and go drive it. But if there is enough, what are you going to invest back in the growth of your business? You see, the big trap that we all have is that we often go and spend all the profit, and then when it comes to the opportunity to grow, there's nothing left. And so what are you going to take from your profit and put back in the business and reinvest it in your business to grow the business? The smartest investment you could ever make is into your own growing business. That's the smartest investment. You can, in a good business that's growing, outperform Bitcoin, Forex, illegal drug smuggling, any traditional Roth IRAs or anything like that. You can perform all of those easily at a ratio of 8-to-1 with a good growing business if you put that money back in again. And so what is it that you're doing to grow your business with the money? Now you're going to get to a figure that starts to give you some real profit. And it's the profit that you, the business owner, live on through the payment of dividends usually. But there's a big confusion for business owners about where business owners make their money. The problem is, as business owners, is that we're trying to make money on a month-to-month basis, which really means what we've got for ourselves is a job. And a job stands for just over broke. So you create that for yourself and you create a trap. We elevate our personal living costs, we elevate the quality of our cars, the quality of our houses and properties, the neighbourhoods we look in, the schools our kids go to, the vacations that we take to far-flung places or fancier places than the neighbour, the clothes that we wear, the restaurants that we eat in, and the list just goes on. But you see, a business owner who isn't suffering with the poverty mindset, they'll know that they actually make their money when they sell the shares in their company. If you look at Elon Musk's net worth, his net worth and his cash worth are two very different things. In fact, I read recently that Elon Musk has a few $billion negative, as in overdraft, cash worth, and he lives off debt borrowed against the share value in his businesses. The world's richest man. You see, he's trading off the share value of his business. He's living off it. And so you too will get the opportunity if you grow your business well enough and you don't rape and pillage from your business today and you put back in and grow, educate yourself, uplift yourself, employ more people, bring in more marketing, more sales, bring in more employees to service your customer, increase the quality of your product to a heavenly product, your share value will increase. And therefore you'll have something that one day you can look to sell all or part of. Or maybe actually create something like a legacy for your children's children. And so let's tackle this mindset once again. The common mistake that we make is live first, feed our life first, feed our business second. What you really need to do is feed your business first and your life second, the other way around. And if there's not enough for your life, grow your business. You know, if you're a taxi driver and you don't put fuel in your taxi, eventually your taxi just will become a piece of metal that sits still and doesn't generate income for you anymore. And your business is just the same. We can only live on the fruit when we tend the tree well enough. And so to close this loop a little bit, Proverbs 10:22, the blessings of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it. But that painful toil can only be avoided when you've actually grown the vehicle that really will make the wealth for you. The thing that will run all on its own and generate the cash that you most want and need. And so to recap, your poverty mindset is about spending before you make it. And I know you're guilty of that. You get the tender, you get the deal, you get the whatever it may well be, and you're already at the car lot buying a new shiny car before you've actually got as far as putting the money in the bank. You're spending it in your mind before it's gone into the bank, you've paid for everything, and you've taken the profit, and you're spending the profit. And so I'd encourage you to stop using your business as a piggy bank and instead make it your seed bank. The bank that when you draw from will grow your business first and fund your personal life second.